As a .NET developer, when I build a minimal API project, authentication is the thing I always forget until the very end. And if you forget it, you're basically exposing your API to the entire internet. So in this video, I'll show you the simplest way to secure your minimal API endpoints, and even test them directly in Swagger. And the simplest way to do that is to use an API key. We're going to add an API-key request header, but we need to check that first to make sure that we've actually got it in the request. There's no point in doing any other checks if we haven't actually got the key in the request. So the way we do that is we can say not request.headers.tryGetValue, and we're going to name the request header API-key, and this is the good part. You can output it to a variable, so we don't need to call this again. So we're going to output the request header into a variable called API header value. But at this point, if we haven't got it, we might as well fail the authentication. So we call return task from result, and then we call authentication result.fail, and we can put an error message in there. So we're going to put the API key is missing from the request header. We know we haven't got it, so we might as well fail it at this point. Now moving forward, we've got the variable in there. In appsettings.development.json, we've got the API key in config, and we'll bound it to this API options, which we're injecting as part of dependency injection in this authentication handler. So the good thing about this is that we've got our config value in the API options, and we've got the variable in the request header set as a variable. So we can simply check to see if the two match. If they don't match, we might as well reject the authentication. So we say if API header value does not match the value in API options.currentValue.key, then once again we'll fail the authentication. But of course this time we want to update the message. So the failure message we'll put this time is that the API key in the request header doesn't match the config. Now, of course, if it does match, this is the point where we can authenticate the request. So what we need to do is we need to create some claims. We do that by creating a new instance of the claims identity. And for this, you'd normally store a username for more complex authentication. But for this, we're just going to set the authentication scheme. So we need to add a new claim, and we're called claims types.authentication method. And if we go up here, we stored the scheme name as API key. We're going to use this throughout the project, so it's good to have it set as a constant string so we don't have to keep on specifying that it's API key. We'll just add the scheme name. So we'll add that as the value in the claim, and we also have to add the scheme name as the extra parameter. At this point, the authentication has been a success, so we just need to return that. We call task from result, and we call authentication result.success. And then within that, we need to create a new authentication ticket and create a new claims principal with the identity. And then we have to add the scheme name in there as well. And make sure that we fix the syntax issues. So do you think that the authentication handler is going to work at this point? Well, not at the moment. We need to register it first in the application. We call services.addAuthorization, and within that we can set some options. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a policy. So we can call options.addPolicy, and we can give it a name. What do you think a good name might be? So we've got this scheme name here. I don't see any reason why we can't just call it API key, so we can use the constant string in this authentication handler. So we're going to do that. We'll call the API key authentication handler.scheme name. And within that policy, we need to set some options. So we have to add the authentication schemes. So we've only got one there. So we'll call it API key authentication handler.scheme name. And we also need to specify that we require an authenticated user. So we're going to fix the syntax errors, otherwise it's not going to work. So we've added the authorization, but we haven't actually registered this authentication handler, have we? We've just specified the scheme name. We need to do that by calling services.addAuthentication, and then we need to add a scheme. So this has a few generic types that we need to add. The first one is authentication scheme options. Now I think you can add your own one if you have more complex options, but we don't have that for this, so we can go with the default one. And for the second generic type, we specify the authentication handler, which of course is API key authentication handler. And within that, we need to specify a couple of parameters. We need to specify the scheme name again. So this will match this policy up here. And for the second one, we just specify null. And we just need to fix the syntax errors. Now, because we've added this into an extension member, we need to register this in the API. So we go to program.cs, and what did we call it? We called it add API key authorization. So we can add that in like that. And that's now been registered. If you want to see this built from scratch, it's actually part of my Minimal APIs for Complete Beginners course. You can check it out at roundthecode.com/min1 or via the link in the YouTube description. Alright, let's actually secure our endpoint. And this is really simple. All you need to do is you need to call require authorization to the endpoint. Now you can specify the policy name as the parameter. If you've only got one policy, you don't need to do that, but it's good practice to do so anyways. So what do you think the policy name's going to be? So we've named the policy API authentication handler.scheme name, so that's what we need to add in as part of the parameter. So we'll add that in like that. Now we've added this to an endpoint, but do you think there's a better way of doing that? Well, we've got it as part of a group, so you can simply just add require authorization in there, like so. And the good thing about that is that every endpoint in this group will have this authentication set to it. But we've got a problem. If we test it out in Swagger, we've got no way of adding the API key when we do the request. As a result of that, we're always getting a 401 unauthorized response. The good news though is that we can resolve that by adding a security transformer. Here's how you do that. So we've created the API security transformer, which implements this interface. We've injected this, and we're going to use this so we can get all the authentication schemes to make sure that we've got the one included as part of the project. So we do that by calling authentication scheme provider.get all schemes async. Now we're specifying if the authentication schemes match our scheme name, then we can add it as part of the Open API documentation. So the first step we need to do is we need to add a security scheme. And we call that by calling document.components.securityschemes.try_add. The first parameter, we just specify the scheme name, so we can copy and paste that. The second parameter is where we actually create the security scheme. So this is where it makes a little bit more sense as to what we're doing. So we create a new instance of the Open API security scheme, and the parameters within that, the type, we're going to set that as security scheme type.API key. The in is specified in the header, so that's what we need to specify here. The name of it, what do you think the name of it is? The request header is called API-key, so that's what we're going to add as the name. And we can add an optional description if we want to as well. So we've added the security scheme. We also need to add a security requirement. So we call document.security.add, and we create a new instance of the Open API security requirement. And within that, we call a new instance of the Open API security scheme reference. In there, we specify the API key authentication handler scheme again, and then we just have to include the document in there like that. Now, do you think this is going to work at the moment? Well, no, we need to register it. And the way that we do that is we go into program.cs. Now we've got builder.services.add_open_API. We can then pass in some options. We need to import the namespace for it, otherwise it's not going to work. And then we just add options.add_document_transformer. And we need to include a generic type. What do you think that generic type's going to be? I think it's going to be the class name. Let's add that in there like that. Hopefully this will work in Swagger now. Look what we've got now. We've got this authorization button. We can add a value in there. Let's try that with the endpoint that we've got. Oh, it's still not working. We haven't added the correct API key from the configuration. We need to do that instead. So we'll copy and paste that from appsettings.development.json. And we'll replace that value, and then hopefully it will work. So let's try that again. And there you go, success, it's now working. You can download the code example for this tutorial at roundthecode.com/examples or via the link in the YouTube description. Now you might be thinking, I want to use minimal APIs in the future, but does it have everything that I need? Well, in this next video, I dispel 5 common myths with minimal APIs. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.